Why are you like pulling that tape out of there? Look at that strength. Look at that strength. Strong and impressive. Don't tear that off now, Hercules. I suppose if I was in England, I could possibly be thrown in jail for posting this video. An interesting little fact I found out this morning. In Russia, I believe it was last year, there were 400 people arrested for posts on social media. Compare that, you know, Russia is an authoritarian state. Compare that to England, which is a Western nation, a NATO nation. England arrested over 3,300 people for social media posts last year alone. Something to think about. We're all well and aware of what's going on over there in England and Ireland. And it's made some things painfully obvious. You know, we should keep our brothers and our sisters in our thoughts, in our minds, and in our hearts, and in our prayers, if you're into that. I'm not here to debate whether this is some sort of psyop, whether this is organic, whether it isn't. Because I don't have the answers, and I'm sure that many of you don't have the answers either. I believe it is both inorganic, and perhaps there are aspects of it that are being cultivated. I want to thank my friend that runs the Folkish Appalachia channel, see Loki, for posting a quote yesterday. And it's a quote that has stuck in my mind for the past 25, 26, 27 hours. And that quote is that our children, our revenge will be our children's laughter. Ain't that right? That's right, ain't it? Our revenge will be our children's laughter. Now, who was it that said this? Well, we'll answer that question here shortly. Our revenge will be our children's laughter. So who was it that said this? It was a man by the name of Bobby Sands. Who was Bobby Sands? Well, he was a leader in the Irish Republican Army, the IRA. I believe he died back in 1981. He starved himself to death while he was imprisoned on a hunger strike. That's who made that quote. Now some of you will be like, some of you anti-communist spurgs will be like, oh my God, Bobby Sands was a Marxist. The IRA were communist. You know what? I really don't fucking care. I agree with that quote 100%. You know, not everything fits into your nice, neat little ideological boxes. This is something I've noticed over time. Yes, the IRA was perhaps communist. But what's interesting about them is that this was tied in to Irish nationalism. So, it's like I said, not everything fits into your nice, neat little ideological box, like I said. You gotta have some nuance sometimes. And now we're going to get into the meat and taters of this video. Alright, now for the main event. I'm down here in my stairwell. When I'm in my stairwell, you know, there's a tendency for me to get foul-mouthed. So, here we go. I want to talk about the police and the authorities. 2 to 3 years ago, I made numerous videos talking about how the police are not your friends. We don't live in Mayberry anymore, and Andy Griffith ain't the sheriff, and Barney Fife ain't the deputy. The police are the front line that most of you will encounter of a system that hates you. A system that despises you. And if you're in England or Ireland, this system, it wants your kids hacked up, it wants your kids raped, and it thinks that it's funny. I've seen a lot of the warnings that I don't know if he's Prime Minister or whatever he is, Starmer. It's really fascinating how during the BLM riots and protests and all that a few years ago, what he said back then compared to today, when the native English and also the native Irish are standing up for themselves. There's been talk of him releasing prisoners, foreigners, invaders, who have been murderers, rapists, all these things, in order to make room for the native British, the native English, and the native Irish. You know, I still, from time to time, I still see people around me where I live here in Southeast Tennessee. Every now and then I'll see those Thin Blue Line or We Back the Blue. Maybe these people have family members that are cops. And you know, I have known maybe 1 or 2 policemen in my life. One of them was my Little League coach. I thought very highly of that man, and I still do. But you know, the institution itself, I don't like. And if you're a white man and you are in a diverse area, after what happened in this country back in 2020, Summer of Love, if you're still a police officer, then I don't think there's any help for you after you've seen what happened. I know there's a job to be done, but still. The police are the front line of a system that despises you. You know, anarchists seem to have a much better grasp of this idea and this concept and this reality than a lot of people in the broader right wing or the dissident right or whatever the fuck you want to call it these days. You know, I've seen a lot of the videos that's coming out of England. Videos of the cops acting all smarmy and, you know, cooing to the Muslim invaders of all stripes, Africans, Arabs, Pakistanis, whatever. We've seen these videos. This is a sort of propaganda, you could say, I believe, that's being put out there. While they are just completely negligent and hostile to the needs of the white British, of the natives, the native English. You know, years ago when I was into criminality myself, I disliked the police. I did not want anything to do with them, didn't want to be around them. I'll put some links to some videos I made a couple of years ago at the end of this video where I tell some of these stories. If you're engaged in criminality, sooner or later you're going to have run-ins with the police.
but I wanted to avoid them. But you know, back then, I was the bad guy. Drug addict, a thief, a robber. You know, back then, I don't think I held as much contempt for the police back then as I do now. This is something I realized several days ago. You know, back then I was like, I despise the police, but they are doing their job. Nowadays, now that I'm living a square life, a straight life, a clean life, over the last 6 years or so, I view the police with just an utmost contempt. I'm serious. I see it every day. There's cops here in this, or nearby town. I see cops, they are notorious. They pull people over for the slightest infraction. You go about 3-4 miles over the speed limit, they're going to write you, they're at least going to give you a warning. Odds are they're probably going to write you a ticket. I see state troopers on the interstate nearby every fucking morning when I load my truck up and leave to go for a day's work. I see them hiding under underpasses. I see them pulling people over. And it's like, you know, these people, that's one thing I've noticed. The cops, they want to cause the citizen, the working class or the middle class, they want to hassle you. They want to cause you problems because they know that you're going to pay your tickets to keep your license, to keep yourself out of trouble. You know, it's really robbery. I've came to see it. I despise it. I mean, I have an utmost, utter contempt for them now that wasn't there a few years ago. You know, I see a lot of things too that the English are doing and dealing with. You know, one of them, this is something I observed back around, I think it was around Thanksgiving when those Irish riots were going on. Last year. I think it was Thanksgiving, right around there. It was right around the time my daughter was born. I remember seeing a video of Irishmen masked up, kicking in windows of, corporate stores, getting them some loot. You know, and then I seen some of these pearl-clutching, right-wing faggots, to be honest, like complaining about this, you know. They're saying, oh my God, we are so much better than this. You know what my thoughts on that are? I'm not going to encourage anyone to do anything illegal. I can't, you know, and I won't. But I will say this, property crime like that, I'm not going to disavow. I'm not going to sit here and disavow. I disavow. It's what these people say. You know what? Fuck you and fuck your morality. Your fucking morality is why your side loses consistently. You know what? I don't give a shit. I seen it with the British the other day, the English. I seen these young white kids kicking in windows, carrying them out, loot and everything. They were looting everything. And it's these big chain stores, you know. No, I don't support the idea of doing that to, you know, your mom and pop local business, small business. Of course not. But these big fucking chains, fuck them. They're one of the reasons that your country is being overrun. These corporations, I don't give a shit. I love to see it, you know. I'm not encouraging it, like I said, but I like to see it. Fuck these corporations. It's about time for the white youth to get theirs. So I'm not encouraging it, but I'm not going to sit here like some limp-wristed faggot and cry about it because of my morality. Fuck your morality. We're in a fucking war right now. They're in a fucking war. Your morality's why you keep taking the L, you know. One advice that I would have to these children and these kids and these people that's doing this, please wear a mask. Mask up. Wear a mask. I know things about this. I know how this operates. Wear a mask. And, you know, and this is advice goes to everybody. You ever get in a situation where you get a knock on the door I'm going to quote the late, great Tom Metzger here. I have nothing to say. I made a video that was an hour and 15 minutes long 2 years ago talking about white omerta. Link will be at the end of this video. Talking about this. I have nothing to say. That's all you got to say. And if they keep pressing you and your situation is serious, get a lawyer. But I have nothing to say about anything. You can throw those 2 extra words in there. I have nothing to say. I want this to be ingrained into your mind. Hopefully you will never get in that situation where you get a knock on the door. And I'll tell you this, it's always better not to get caught. No matter what it is you're doing, I've told you that the lines of illegality and what's criminal is going to be blurred. It's already blurry. It's already a mess. But it's always better to not get caught. So do your work, have a plan, and if worse comes to worse, I have nothing to say. Another thing too, I've seen some of these Englishmen sadly do. They get a knock on the door. They let the cops walk on in. They invite them in. Don't fucking do that. Those cocksuckers, unless they fucking show you a warrant, they don't have no goddamn business in your fucking domicile. When they knock on the door, answer it, step out. If they ain't got a fucking search warrant, you ain't crossing my threshold, bitch. It's that simple. Don't let them inside your house. They're looking around. Fuck them. Ain't none of their goddamn business. Don't let them in your fucking house. Unless they have a fucking search warrant that's signed. Read through it. Don't do it. They're not obligated to enter your house unless you are scared enough or foolish enough to invite them in. So, yeah, I think that's about it. These are just basically things that I've tried to, that I'm just reiterating, things that I've said 2 to 3 years ago. This knowledge is valuable. And like I said earlier, keep our brothers and sisters over there in your thoughts, in your prayers, on your minds and in your hearts, because they're going to need it. And, I ain't going to lie to you, seeing them stand up and doing this has made me proud. It's made me proud. It's shown me that not all the white race, the broader white race, it's shown me that there still is a vicious nature that we have. So, just remember, system pigs are not your friends, never will be. They are your mortal enemy. And, it's like old Bobby Sands said, the laughter of our children will be our revenge. Thank y'all for watching. Bye-bye.